let me feel your pulse first. I'll start off with Andrew. Andrew, how did you feel about these games that were played on Tuesday for the UEFA Champions League under the new format?
Well, Onyechi, I think, like you said, it was an excellent day for Aston Villa, who really announced their presence in the group stage of this competition. Of course, Bayern Munich. Hey, if you were watching early on in the second half, you might have said, hey, we have a good match coming here. But
Indeed.
Control for Dinamo Zagreb. But it was a good, electrifying day. Plenty of goals, which is always good for the viewers and the neutral observers. So I'd say it's a good opening day.
A good opening day indeed. Can I get the same verdict from Adedapo? Adedapo, what do you feel? The games played for Tuesday.
Well, plenty of goals, like you said. Bayern Munich, fantastic scoring, 9 goals. Nobody saw that coming. When that game started early in the second half, when Dinamo Zagreb started coming into the game. Good one for the English side, led by Aston Villa earlier, defeating Young Boys. Surprisingly, a team that had not played in the Champions League for 41 years. It shows that Unai Emery is doing something special at Villa, and then Liverpool. Well, you know, whenever Liverpool and AC Milan meet, you always remember the match in Istanbul. And almost similar happened. Liverpool were losing and then came back and they went on to win by 3-1 and all of that. So it was good for neutrals. It was good for football fans because there were plenty of goals. Madrid almost thought that it was going to be a tough game, but they came back and scored 3. And Hendrik is always in the news for the right reason, getting married, scoring goals, and helping Madrid win matches. I think this season's Champions League will be interesting for the neutrals. Those who don't have their club in the Champions League will enjoy plenty of goals, plenty of games also. I think it's good for football fans, the new format and how it has started.
Good for football fans indeed. We'll feel the pause of those who witnessed the match live over there in Spain. But before that, okay, let's get our sit back on. We've got Bayern Munich from nowhere under Vincent Kompany having this biggest win, creating the records over there for the UEFA Champions League. And Harry Kane. Can Harry Kane just get maybe a tip of a title this season as he scored 4 goals, 3 from a penalty spot, giving Vincent Kompany that very incredible win? Can we say for sure that they are a team to beat in this in the group where they are pitted against some tough opponents in this new format of the UEFA Champions League? Andrew, what's your take concerning this performance? Because we've seen them coming with the highest goals for day one.
Well, I think Bayern Munich, obviously, they're going to be very motivated this season after the disaster that was last season. I think, you know, all the narrative around Harry Kane, he never wins trophies. He's certainly going to have something to prove after England failed to match expectations in the European Championship, even though they made the final. So I think for Bayern Munich, this is really going to be a statement match. This is really announcing their intent to compete in this competition, not only in Europe, but also domestically as well.
Can they keep this momentum going? Can they come up with more goals? They've scored the highest, 9 for the night. Can they get this going as they play their other group matches?
Absolutely. This is a real good time to build up that momentum and that confidence and, you know, really show what you've been working on in the preseason, how you've been looking to correct the errors for last season. And so I think for Coach, you know, Vincent Kompany and his squad, this is really going to be kind of their way of announcing to their supporters that they're here to compete and that they're here to make a statement in this competition.
All right, we're hoping that they've been able to get their fit running in the competition, even having scored 9 goals. But looking at the team, Adedapo, what do you think? That team was just an easy one, an easy catch for Bayern Munich?
Well, you can say it was an easy catch because Dinamo Zagreb are not one of the strongest teams you expect in Europe. For Bayern Munich, it was a perfect way to start, knowing fully well that they have trips to Villa and Barcelona in match week 3 and 4 of the Champions League. So it means they have to start on a winning note. I know this year's Champions League, your goals will be very important. Your wins, whether you play home or away from home, will also be very important if you want to, of course, advance to the next round of the Champions League. So for me, I think Vincent Kompany has done very well at Bayern Munich. They won 6. They scored 6 goals over the weekend in the Bundesliga. They scored 9 in the Champions League right now. So it tells you that something is working. And for Harry Kane, doing so well, Yamal Musiala, fantastic player. I think it's a good one. They started well, even though the opponent was not strong. It just tells you that in football,
So you agree with
there's
me
always
that the
different.
opponent was not strong, and that's why they could score that amount of goals?
You know, with due respect to Dinamo Zagreb, with due respect to them, everything in the Champions League deserves to be there because they qualified either from their league or to the playoffs, so they deserve to be there. But if you put Bayern and Dinamo together, Bayern, of course, Dinamo, of course, are not anywhere near Bayern. So for me, the opponent was not the quality of the. Maybe when they played Villa on match day 2 of the Champions League, they begin to now say English Bayern team are one of the contenders, or maybe just pretenders for the Champions League this season.
Okay, contenders or pretenders, we'll get to know when the final group games gets underway. But I cannot leave this conversation without talking about the defending champion, Real Madrid. They had a late victory against Stuttgart with goals from Rudiger and Hendrik. But you know for sure, Andrew, that this team has got a clutch performance. They have this habit of having to perform with so much clutchiness. Do you think Real Madrid is well prepared to defend their title this season, Andrew?
Well, I think that's a good question, Onyechi. You know, Real Madrid, they won La Liga. They've really continued to be clutch in the Champions League. I think you always have to consider this team. They're going to turn it on once you get to the knockout stage with this new format. There's a lot more margin for error as far as advancing to the knockout stage for the top clubs. You always have to consider Real Madrid in the picture. You know, they always have excellent management. They always have a deep squad. They have the most elite talent. It's really a matter, you know, once they get to that knockout stage, is Kylian Mbappe fully integrated into the squad? Are they performing at their top level? That's something that we're going to be observing over the course of the season, but they really need Mbappe, you know, to find his form, to get comfortable in the squad. And it's going to be interesting to see if, you know, that happens over the course of this season. But if he does, then Real Madrid, you know, they have to be considered amongst the top favorites, if not the top favorite, to bring that trophy back to the Bernabeu.
All right, Andrew just talked about Kylian Mbappe, and that's where you come in, Adidapo. Do you think he has been able to align with the whole philosophy around Real Madrid, you know, bring his A game like he did for Paris Saint-Germain, or is just all about that UEFA Champions League feeling?
Well, I think he's beginning to settle very well into the club. He's enjoying time playing alongside Vinicius Junior, Rodrigo, and the rest of the team. I think one thing is you cannot rule out Madrid anytime, any game, any season, any coach. The last 6-7 years, Madrid have shown that they are a very strong team to contend when it comes to the Champions League. Even when all chips are down, they just find a way to always, you know, put themselves into the conversation and always do well. And for Kylian, he started well, even though not the start many would have wanted, maybe scoring hat-tricks, you know, 3 goals, and the rest. He's practically scored some of the most penalty kicks and all of that. But I think he's beginning to settle well. He scored a good goal yesterday. The pace is good for Kylian. He's doing well. Madrid will also love him. But my only worry for this team is the lack of a typical number 9. I think that Madrid are on green. You know, to watch out, there's Green, there's Rodrigo, there's Kylian.
So you think Kylian Mbappe is not... I beg your pardon, Adidapo, but you're saying Kylian Mbappe is not the ideal number 9 for Ancelotti? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I don't think so. If he's going to play that role the entire season, I think Madrid...
All right.
Games where you need the number 9 to do a lot, he might not be that man. I think Madrid needs a number 9, a typical... A traditional number 9, let me put it that way. Kylian is not a traditional number 9.
Okay, let me get the thought of Andrew.
But he can still be the man to lead them.
Let me get the thought of Andrew on this. Andrew, you can hear from Adidapo. He says Mbappe is not the typical number 9 for a Real Madrid squad. Do you think so?
I think Mbappe, he's an unconventional player in many ways. Yeah, he is not the traditional number 9. He's known for not particularly putting in maybe the pressing and the hard work that you want to see from a more industrious number 9. Sometimes he's had issues fitting in. As we've seen with France, he kind of gets shifted in the formation sometimes, like at the World Cup. So I think there's definitely going to be an adjustment period as far as what is required from him, whether he can open up opportunities for the wingers, for Vini, for Rodrigo. So I think there's just going to be this period where he needs to kind of find his role as that number 9 at the top tip of the formation. And, I think with Carlo Ancelotti, he'll always find a way for it to work. But it's going to take some time, I believe.
All right, you did just called Carlo Ancelotti the right son of his father. Let's listen to him and his reaction for Real Madrid and their win for the UEFA Champions League.
Estamos todavía intentando buscar nuestra mejor versión. Creo que a momento lo hemos hecho muy bien porque en la evaluación del partido no lo hemos empezado bien. Ellos hemos intentado de presionar arriba, sacaban muchos balones largos, ganaban los duelos. Después de 20 minutos hemos tomado el mando del partido y hasta el minuto 60.
As I said, defensively we need to be more aggressive, but with the ball we need to control more. We lose too many balls, and it's easy mistakes. So you make an opponent like this very strong. It's not that they do wonders with us. No, it's we giving them gifts.
Was wir mit rausnehmen. Ich glaube, wir haben jetzt einfach eine unvergessliche Nacht gehabt, insbesondere mit den unglaublichen Fans da draußen. Es wird etwas sein, was wir in diesem Leben sicher nicht vergessen. Und deswegen gehen wir trotz Enttäuschung mit erhobenem Hauptes hier aus dem Stadion. Dankeschön.
Yeah, of course. I think when you see, especially the first half, but also some moments in the second half, I think the team, deserve more. We wanted more. Of course, everybody wanted more. So now it's a little bit, we are a little bit mad and sad, of course, because of the result.
All right, reactions coming from that game between Real Madrid and Stuttgart, but Ancelotti never been satisfied. But he'll always come up with a win. Let's watch out for how Real Madrid will have to defend their title this season. Let's talk about English team Aston Villa. For Aston Villa, they made a statement with a 3-0 win in the UEFA Champions League, their debut for that matter. How impressive by the English side. Let me start with Adedakmo. I know that you're English Premier League fan, so you should be able to talk more about this. Do you think that Aston Villa has got that squad depth to make a deep run in their first appearance at the UEFA Champions League? Can you just cut them some slack?
Well, I think if we're going by the old formats of the group stages and all of that, I would have said Aston Villa might have the squad. But to be honest, with the league format and all of it, they'll have to play 8 games and 8 strong games. Good one, the third, with a fantastic win away at Young Boys. Like I've always said, Aston Villa do have an experienced manager, Unai Emery. He knows the European football, be it the Champions League or the Europa League. His season when it comes to that competition, he has the players. Yuri Tillemans, good goal yesterday to kickstart Aston Villa's Champions League run after 41 years. But it's too early to be able to say they have this squad to go give a deep run in the Champions League, knowing fully well that next week's Bayern Munich, if at that game when Bayern come to England, they are able, of course, to do well for themselves, we can now begin to say that this team can go far. It's going to be a tough one for Villa, no doubt about it. It's not the normal format. So this new format means that every game matters. If it was the old format where you have 4 in a group, if you can win, of course, you've got 2 teams that are not too strong and 1 team that is strong, you can then say you can go through. But for me, don't rule them out. There could be dark horses, but it's going to be a tough one for Emery and his boys. Maybe to the playoff, but I don't think Aston Villa will be the beating boys in this Champions League format. They will definitely give a good account for themselves.
All right, let's look out for that. Andrew, we had other games played where Juve beat PSV 3-1 and Sporting dispatched Lille 2-0. Andrew, how do you view the whole balance in power this season? It seems we're not going to be seeing the dominance from Spain or any English side. That's the English League side. How do you view the balance in power this season for the UEFA Champions League?
Well, I think you're going to see the usual candidates, competing at the end. I think, this new format is meant to give a little bit of a more margin for error for the top clubs. You won't see any of Europe's elite clubs really missing out on the knockout stage. But I think it's going to give an opportunity for clubs from lesser known countries, the top clubs from these countries, to really announce their intent to make it to this final stage, to play in the big matches. So I think we're going to see an interesting balance between, of course, Europe's elite, your Liverpools, your Real Madrids, but also you're going to see a couple of clubs from maybe a country like Switzerland or, a champion from one of these nations who really makes a deep run, maybe to the round of 16, to the quarterfinals. I think it's going to create some opportunities for these sorts of clubs.
All right, let's look forward to that. But today sets the stage for another thrilling encounter. We've got the likes of Bologna having to take on Shakhtar next. Sparta Prague will see RB Salzburg. We've got Celtic up against Bratislava. And not forgetting Club Brugge against Borussia Dortmund. Manchester City would take on Inter. That's the game I want to talk about at this time. Why Paris Saint-Germain will see Girona. The 2022, I beg your pardon, 2023 UEFA Champions League champions, they are set to renew their rivalry as Manchester City will get to host Inter Milan on the opening day of the 2024-2025 League Phase edition. So after falling short in the final for last season, that's the last one where Real Madrid had to pick that one, Pep Guardiola is saying, I'm ready to right my wrongs, while Inter, they have considered just 3 goals, just 3 in their games this season. You can see that it's going to be a tough one for Erling Haaland if he can find the back of the net against Inter Milan. City have also allowed the same number in the English Premier League fixtures, but Inter's best chances of succeeding at the Etihad, they have to remain resolute, also putting a foot down in City's home, stabbing Haaland of the service in the final third. That's the only way that they can get ahead of this team. But what do you guys think? Adedapo, share your thoughts concerning this fixture.
Well, first and foremost, City are a beast of a team led by Erling Haaland, he just can't keep scoring goals. It's going to be a tough game, no doubt about it. Any game involving an English side and an Italian side will always be tough. We think of the Champions League final 2 seasons ago. But one thing is City are in the form of their life. Pep Guardiola wants to win this trophy again. He's tasted success in City in the Champions League. I know he wants to win it again. The last 6 seasons or 5 seasons, City have always been favourites to go on to win the Champions League, whether they win it or not. For me, Inter, this squad, good team. Carl Martinez doing so well for himself. They've started well in the league and all of that. But Erling Haaland is the X factor in this conversation. Haaland is unstoppable. He's a player where you just don't know where to stop him from. He looks unmarkable. Yes, the last time the both sides met, they were able to take him, but it's going to be a different Haaland. For me, I think City playing at home give them the extra edge at the Etihad, and who wants that on the high? Like he said earlier, there is no margin for error for the big side. So matches like this, you don't need to make errors in it. So for me, I think City are poised to win this one. Anything other than a win, and it will be a surprise result for me at the end of 90 minutes.
All right, Andrew, City are in the midst of a storm with these probe from the 115 charges from the English FA. Do you think that would in any way deter them in the UEFA Champions League for this match day 1?
I don't think so, particularly, Onyechi. I mean, these charges have been looming over the club for, we could say, all of last season, really. We've always kept hearing the rumors about, what sort of punishment might come down if they're guilty of these charges. I don't think it's going to be any different. When you have a manager like Pep Guardiola, he's able to keep his squad focused on the goal ahead. These guys, their business is football, and that's what they're going to concentrate on as far as the day-to-day matters. So I don't think we're going to see an impact on City. I think this squad is very well built. Bringing back a player like Gundogan for this campaign, I think City have to be considered heavy favorites at home, and rightfully so, I think.
All right, during the presser, we had Rodri. He raised the concern, even one whose club is still in the midst of the whole probe and all. He raised the concern talking about the choked-up fixture, the choked-up calendar due to the league format of the new UEFA Champions League. And he says that maybe players should go on strike. They should demand a strike if this continues. Do you think there's a way forward? Is it a way to go for players, Andrew?
Well, this has certainly been coming to a boiling point. The players have continued to complain, and advocates for the players, players' unions and things like that have consistently said, there's too many matches happening. I think where this is going to come to a head is when we see the FIFA Club World Cup, when they're looking to play during the summer. We're seeing less and less summer breaks for players because they're competing in international competitions, particularly at the elite clubs, because all of those players play for their national teams. I think once we see more club matches in the summer, like this FIFA Club World Cup, I think that's where we're really going to see it come to a head. Until then, I think it's just going to be a lot of noise from the players for good reason. Because we're seeing more injuries, but I'll be really interested to see what happens when the first FIFA, this new edition of the FIFA Club World Cup happens and how the players respond to that.
Okay, let's listen to Pep Guardiola, what he has to say ahead of this fixture against Inter Milan. Also, we've got Rodri by his side.
I said many times, I don't think much about the future, about what happened in January and February, or what is the mental. So I don't know. I'm focusing and prepare well the game and try to win tomorrow. And after restful days, Arsenal and Watford, and I don't think much, honestly. Always have been like that. So it's because I don't know what's going to happen, not even tomorrow, imagine in January. Many things can happen. So I think in the modern football, modern sports, you have to handle the present and what is the next game, and that's all.
Obviously, I think between 40 and 50 is the amount of games in which a player can perform in a highest level. After that, everything comes, you drop, because it's impossible to sustain the physical level. And I think this years we're gonna go until 70, maybe 80, I don't know. Depends on how far you go into competitions. In my humble opinion, I think it's too much. I think we have to take care of ourselves. Someone has.
That's Rodri over there, making an indication that fatigue might set in for the choked fixtures in the football calendar. But Andrew, before I let you go and speak to Adedakpo and I have got a business when it comes to Manchester United. All right. Andrew, do you think that these big score lines that we are seeing right now in the new format for the UEFA Champions League will have to affect outcomes for the teams that will make it to the last 16, or will it in a way reduce that new system, that one-sided matches we always see in the former format before this new one? Do you think that would happen this season?
Well, I think, goal difference, things like that, tiebreakers, all the top clubs are thinking about this when it comes to, hey, do we finish in the top 8? Do we finish in the next group of clubs that have to play an additional knockout stage? So I think, this is something that teams are always consider. No team is going easy or taking it easy once they get to a certain point. If they go up 3-0 or 4-0, you always have to think about the next round. You have to think about tiebreakers and how that could come into play at the end when teams are being sorted. So I think, I think we're going to see some score lines like this in this expanded format. But, this is something that teams really have to take into consideration these days, because we see so often teams miss out on the round they want to get to because of maybe goal difference or something like that, or some sort of tiebreaker like that. So we'll see scores like that. Teams won't take it easy even when they go up 3 or 4 goals.
Okay, I'm waiting. The bangers coming from these matches in the new league format. Interesting times to look ahead of for the UEFA Champions League. Thank you so much, sports commentator, Pan-African football commentator, Andrew Olsson, for joining us on the show today.
Thank you for having me, Onyechi.
It's always a pleasure to have you, Andrew Olsson. All right, I know that Andrew just broke down the whole anticipation ahead of this new league format that we've begun on Tuesday. But what are the fans saying? Of course, the new Champions League format has received mixed reactions from fans around Spain, especially from the Santiago Bernabeu Stadium ahead of the holders tournament for that Stuttgart. They had said, we love it. Some others say, no, I think there should be a little bit of a change. Let's listen to them. And when we come back, we'll be speaking to Adedakpo Abdulquadri.
Absolutely, yeah. I think it's too much. Every year more matches. I think it's not good for the players, and and also for the visitors, because every year you have to pay more money to go to the stadium, and it's not good. I think it's not good.
Bueno, a ver, es verdad que como favorito siempre está lo de siempre, pero eso como fútbol me parece que es algo bonito, que equipos pequeños puedan aspirar a llegar a algo grande. O sea, a mí eso como, o sea, aparte de ser del Real Madrid como fútbol me gusta, me parece algo bonito.
El Bernabéu te pierdes la oportunidad de ver algunos equipos que hay algunos partidos que te hace ilusión ver. Creo que no es positivo, pero bueno, es lo que te digo, creo que es entretenida, es verdad que el formato...
The fans have spoken. All right, I still got Adedapo Abdul Quadri joining me. I'm sure, Adedapo, that UEFA did not think about what the fans will feel or the brunt that this decision will have on the fans when they made the decision about the new format. Fans will have to travel home and away at all times, and that's spending a lot of money. What do you think?
Well, the new format has its advantage and its disadvantage. Now, UEFA were trying to, cancel the Super League, and this format was an avenue not to allow a window for the Super League to want to come in at any point in the future. Now, more games, 16 from the usual, of course, 32 that we used to see in the Champions League, and more teams are now in the Champions League and all of that. But when again, players complaining that the fixture does not pay them, they are supposed to play 50 thereabout games, but now they could play as much as 60 to 70 games. These players are complaining, but some of these players earn exorbitant amount of money. Nobody complains that the money they are being paid is too much.
But we can hear from
they are
Rodri.
fine with it and all of that, and they are comfortable with it.
We can hear from Rodri saying that they might, stage up a strike.
The thing is this. Now, for UEFA, they are looking at the business aspect of things. For them, it's about the business.
Okay.
For some clubs, whether we like it or not, it's also about the business. They get to play. For example, you play 4 home games in the let's say in the league format, instead of playing 3 home games. Now, a club like Dinamo Zagreb, if they were in the Champions League in the old format, they were only going to play 3 home games. For now, they will play 4 home games. That's additional, of course, revenue for them, whether we like it or not. So there's an advantage to the new format. There's also a disadvantage to the new format. It's just for the players, the body, that's the governing body, UEFA, the fans, it used to read and begin to know that this is now the new reality. This format is here to stay, except maybe UEFA will probably change it in the nearest future.
Okay. All right. I'm not going to wrap up the show without talking about Manchester United. Yes, of course, I'm not going to wrap up the show. Don't think you're saved. But Manchester United, yes, I would say they booked their place in the Carabao Cup 4th round in style, hitting 7 past Barnsley. Oh, while we had Everton lost to Southampton on penalties, United were dominant from the start to the finish. We had the likes of Rashford having to score a goal, and people were celebrating. What's there to celebrate when Rashford scores a goal? Is that not what he's supposed to do for Manchester United? But I did that more. I have one question for you. Are Manchester United back? Do we say that the Red Devils are back?
Well, yes, they are back to winning back-to-back games. That's the only thing I can say they are back to. I don't think they are back, because if you want to use Barnsley as a yardstick to rate Manchester United, then there's a problem at Old Trafford. But it's good the players are scoring, the confidence is back. Rashford getting among the goals, Garnacho, one of their best players, also getting among the goals. Eriksen also surprisingly getting a brace, yesterday in that chancing of Barnsley. But then again, I think United fans will not celebrate too much. They could get Manchester City in the next round and will be out of the Carabao Cup, so it's still early days. But I love the fact that it gives a player like Marcus Rashford confidence, back-to-back goals for the first time since I think March or thereabout. It's also good for his confidence going on for the rest of the season. So it is good that United are able to do this for Erik ten Hag. He said that he trusts his players, he believes in the ability of these players. And I think he's always won the trophy, and that's one thing that I like about him. Whether it's the FA Cup, the Carabao Cup, he takes this cup competition very serious. And yesterday was a testament that United are in for big business in the cup competition this season, of course, in England.
Okay, I remember the last time that Eric Ten Hag picked that title. The dust that came out from the whole shelf, it gave a lot of cough, but it's all good. It's all good. Maybe you can get this one for cup competitions. We have been talking to a sport journalist from Abuja, Nigeria, one who knows what he knows how to do best. Adedapo Abdul Quadri. Thank you so much for joining us on In the Game today.
Always a pleasure, Daniel. I hope to do this more.